In my last top 10, we talked about some of the scariest monsters that can be found in the deep, dark recesses of the horror game genre. But these terrifying creatures aren't just limited to horror titles. They can even be found in the most innocent, unsuspecting games you can think of, some of which are made for kids. So carrying on in the spirit of doing the opposite list of the one I just created, we have the 8 scariest monsters in non-horror games. Yeah, I know, the last list was 10, this one's only 8. Do you know how easy it is to find a scary monster in a non-horror game? Not very, I'll tell you that. And once again, spoilers, because some of these monsters aren't seen until later on in their respective games, and I may have to tell you the stories that go with them. You have been warned. Ooh. Number 8. Dirge, Shadow of the Colossus. If you've never played Shadow of the Colossus, or you've only seen snippets of the game, you may be slightly confused by this choice. Most of the colossi aren't really scary, and I actually felt guilty for killing such majestic creatures. I'm sorry, Phalanx, you were just minding your own business and I mercilessly slaughtered you. I harbour no love for Dirge, however. The moment you set foot, or rather hoof, in its domain, it begins its assault, snaking its way through the sand towards you, with only its fins sticking out to give you a hint of its whereabouts. Your horse, Agro, is crucial for this fight, as you need her speed to stand a chance against this behemoth. So what makes Dirge so frightening? Those eyes. Those soul-piercing eyes. It's your job to shoot it in one of its eyes with your bow and arrow, which will send it blindly crashing into a wall so you can climb up its body and stab it in the weak spot. Fail at aiming, or don't have Agro run fast enough, and Dirge will leap out of the sand and try to nom you, or just flat out charge into you, taking off a good chunk of your health and most likely killing you. Number 7. Legless Mutant, Tomb Raider. You guys know how much I love the Tomb Raider series. I've played the originals for almost as long as I can remember. For the most part, nothing particularly scary happens in the first game, unless of course you're terrified by dinosaurs and giant hungry bears. But that all changes when you get to the hellish looking Atlantis levels. With its fleshy pulsating walls and giant green eggs that hatch equally fleshy pulsating monsters, it's no surprise that this place gave me a few nightmares. And then of course you get to the big boss of the game, the Legless Mutant. Or Abomination, Torso Boss, Adam, whatever name takes your pick. This ginormous Atlantean has, given the name, no legs, and thus has to drag himself towards Lara with those thin, long arms and bony fingers of his. I mean, look at this guy. He's basically an inside-out half skeleton, with bits of skin and red flesh to hold him together. Don't let him get too close. He may look slow and dumb, but he's capable of suddenly grabbing Lara, smashing her face multiple times into the ground, that's a guaranteed death by the way, and he can even push her off the edge of the platform with that fat body of his. Anyone care for some smoked Lara? The Legless Mutant in Tomb Raider Anniversary was also kinda creepy, but some of the terror was lost when his attacks came down to quick time events, and he was ultimately very easy to beat. Original games forever! Number 6. Creepers. Minecraft. That's a nice home you got there. It would be a shame if someone were to... Yeah, that. Gosh darn the creepers and their explodey ways. What's that? You're building a bridge to make easy access across a river? Boom! Oh, a barn to house all those adorable little critters at night and keep them safe? Boom! Your face? Boom! Yeah, me and the creepers don't get along very well. After finishing a hard day's mining and heading back to my nice cozy 5x5 mud hut, the last thing I want to see is the empty, soulless expression of a creeper peering through my window. I don't know which is worse though, having it stare at me all night, or trying to shoo it away and risk being blown up. And how many times have you been deep underground, mining some diamond, feeling like it's your lucky day, then... Uh-oh. Number 5. Redead. Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. If there's one game that makes me think, this was meant for kids, it would be Ocarina of Time. And if there's a particular monster that makes me go, what the fook is that, it would be the Redead. While there are other freaky beings like the Wool Masters, the Stall Children, and this ugly bint, the Redead take the scary cake. In Ocarina of Time, they appear as tall, emaciated zombie-like beings that wear wooden masks. Found in some of the creepier areas of the game, such as tombs and dungeons, you'll know of their presence due to the low moans and sounds they make. The way they just stand or crouch there, completely motionless, is eerie enough. But then... they scream, freezing poor Link in place. If they shamble close enough, they'll leap on top of Link and proceed to hump him? And this is meant to be a kid's game. While they are very slow and can be countered with the Sun's song melody, or just by sneaking around them, that doesn't make them any less frightening. Avoid disturbing them at all costs. Number 4. Killer Croc, Batman, Arkham Asylum. When you first see Killer Croc being moved through Arkham Asylum, you just know you're going to have to deal with him later on, especially after that awesome line of his.
I've got your scent, Batman. I will hunt you down.
Killer Croc is intimidating enough on his own, but where you end up fighting him adds a whole new level of terror. I was expecting some sort of arena where I'd have to be super quick on my feet, dodge a couple of his charges, and whittle him down until I could pull off a takedown, like you do with the Titan henchman. Well, I was sort of right, but we're not in an arena, we're in the sewers. You know, Killer Croc's lair. The danger you're in is made very clear from the get-go when you watch Killer Croc leap out of the water and grab Scarecrow. What follows is one of the most nerve-wracking gameplay moments you'll ever experience, as you slowly make your way across floating platforms towards your goal. Seriously, emphasis on slowly. Running makes too much noise and is a surefire way to get yourself killed. Sneaking won't stop Killer Croc from making occasional appearances, however, and your reaction time best be on point if you want to stand a chance of getting out of his lair alive. Number 3. Headcrabs and Zombies, Half-Life series. I for one find headcrabs super adorable, and I hope one day to be the proud owner of a headcrab hat. Husband, if you are watching this, you know what to buy me for Christmas. Now, the reason I mention both the headcrab and the zombie is because the latter doesn't exist without the former. For those of you who have been living under a rock and have no idea what a headcrab is or what it does, let me fill you in. It's a parasitic creature that leaps for a potential host's head, stabs them in the skull with its beak, and then proceeds to take over all motor functions of the host. Suddenly it doesn't sound so adorable anymore. The host, or now zombie, will begin to change in appearance to better suit the headcrab. Elongated arms, hands and fingers, exposed organs, loss of muscle and skin. It's pretty grim stuff. The worst thing of all? The host is still conscious during and even after this whole process takes place, evident by their screams that, when played backwards, sound just like a cry for help.
God, help me!
Number 2. Watchers or Grotesqueries, Drakengard. Look, I've said it time and time again, babies are horrible. I blame games like Drakengard for this, specifically the Watchers. Humongous, naked pink babies with a full set of adult teeth that love to eat everything in sight. Dragons, people, probably each other too, but don't quote me on that last one. There's also the Queen Beast or Mother, who has an even bigger appetite than her adorable little children. She goes on to not only eat everything in sight, but begins to warp reality itself. Freaky stuff. Luckily, our intrepid heroes put a stop to her evil deeds, but then they meet their own unfortunate demise. In multiple endings too. Drakengard is not a happy game. And number 1, Dead Hand, Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time. What? Ocarina of Time again, you say? Well, like I said, it's incredibly difficult to find a bunch of scary monsters in games that aren't even in the horror genre. So let's move on, pretend it never happened. You know how I said the Redead were the monsters in Ocarina of Time that made me go, what the fuck is that? Well, I kinda lied. And if you're sharp-eyed and a fan of the Legend of Zelda series, you probably noticed I didn't mention Dead Hand at all in number 5. That's because I find this thing so fucking creepy that I wanted to save it for the top spot. So here he is, yay! Found at the bottom of the well, Dead Hand is a hideous, stumpy-looking monster with a dark, soulless expression and a jaw full of huge, human-like teeth. Did I ever tell you guys that teeth freak me out? Oh, and feet. Feet are nasty. Thankfully, this guy seems to have no feet, but he does have hands. Many, many hands. Hands which will grab hold of Link and keep him in place while Dead Hand slowly shuffles towards the poor kid to deliver a nasty bite. His jaw can open really wide too, just to add to the nightmare fuel. Honestly, it's stuff like this that really makes me question the age rating for these Zelda games. And that's my list of the 8 scariest monsters in non-horror games. Do you think I missed anything good? Most likely, but I really thought long and hard on this one, so if there are any monsters that could have potentially made the list, chances are I've never heard of them. Still, I love to hear from you wonderful people, so let me know of any creepy critters in the comments section. And if you enjoyed this video, why not leave a like? It really helps me out after all. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in whatever list I conjure up next. Bye bye!